How to lose the sale at the very start of your very first meeting. Welcome to Sales for Nice People, the daily podcast for ethical entrepreneurs who want to learn how to sell more without having to go against your values. I am Martin Steller. I help nice people sell more. And there is a mistake that many people make, even professional salespeople, that can cost you the sale right at the start of the very first meeting. And you might be making that mistake as well. This is when you show up and you start by talking to your buyer about who you are and what you do and where you got your awards and the companies that you've worked with and positioning statement. If you show up to a meeting where they have maybe seen your website, they have identified a need and a reason to speak with you, and you come out of the gate with a pitch slap, you're probably going to lose the deal. Why? Well, nobody cares who you are and what you do. What a buyer cares about is the problem that they have and whether or not it's the time to solve and whether or not you are the person to solve it with. Then it's also wrong to talk about yourself. But when you come out with a statement like that, about who you've worked with and all the different ways that you can work and solve problems, it's me messaging. Your buyer is there to talk about themselves and their problems and the solution that they need. They're not interested in your better mousetrap or your awards. They want to know, can you help us? Do we trust that we can help you? And your pitch slap does not answer those questions. Then it is also the wrong kind of attitude to show up to a meeting with. Why? Well, if you are a seller, then you have a duty of care, a responsibility of stewardship to lead the process and guide the buyer to a decision, whether that is to buy or not to buy. And if you start by trying to prove yourself with your positioning statement, well, what you're showing is neediness. You are trying to win approval. You are trying to get them to see that, yes, you're somebody to take seriously. Now, if you want people to take you seriously, make them think. Give them questions that help them focus on what is most important, questions that make them think about whether or not to solve the problem, how it should be solved, whether it should be solved with you. Get your buyer involved in problem solving with your help. That is how you lead, because the person asking the questions is the person who leads. As I always say, questions are the answer to everything, especially in sales. Also, a big problem with the positioning statement is it is what salespeople do. And if you're going to show up looking like a salesperson, you're going to get treated like a salesperson. And there's nothing wrong with salespeople, but they do a lot of things wrong. And one of those things is to come out and start pitching. No, you want to set yourself apart from all the others. And it doesn't happen very often that a person who is selling something comes out of the gate with a strong, focusing, powerful, thought-provoking question. So when you do that, well, then suddenly you have a conversation with your buyer about what really matters most, themselves and their problems, and you are showing strong leadership. Because if you ask questions, you are the one in the lead. And of course, it's very understandable because you don't know this person and it's a big account and you really hope that you're going to land this deal. And so you really hope that they're going to take you seriously. But the problem is that when you show up like that, you're less likely to be taken seriously. You're more likely to be treated like a salesperson, and salespeople get ignored all the time. And even if you're not a professional salesperson and you simply run your own business, you get ignored all the time. Now, if you want to avoid that, if you want to get replies to your follow-up, if you want your buyer to be keen and eager to meet again, give them quality, helpful conversations. And you do that simply by asking the right questions. So here's a couple of questions that you can ask. What would make this conversation eminently helpful? Boom, right in there. What made you decide to meet today? Now your buyer gets to set the agenda and you get to identify whether or not there's actually some meat on the bones and something worthwhile to keep talking about. One of my own favorite questions, because, sales is an act of service. How can I serve you today? Not right for every context or every person, but if you can ask it, it's a really powerful question. Another one is, what would you like to get out of this conversation? Now, if you're paying attention, all these questions have one thing in common, and it is they focus the buyer to start talking about what really matters most. And what matters most is not you, not your former clients, not the way you work, not your awards. What matters is themselves, their problems, and the question, can you help us? Do we trust that you can help us? This is Sales for Nice People. Go to martinsteller.com/nice people, where you can get a short daily email every day. And I will see you again tomorrow.